샛별. Hello everyone, it is Spellbound and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mylia and I'm a 19-year-old simmer here on YouTube. So everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited because today I'm going to be doing a speed build for the brand new Sims 4 Growing Together expansion pack. So I have been anticipating this expansion pack for so long and I've been waiting and oh, it did not disappoint. This pack did come right after the launch of Infants, which Infants are now free in the game. It came with a free update, and then Growing Together was released, I believe, 2 days after. But I'm pretty sure, like, it's obviously purposeful. It's like a release to kind of tease Growing Together, and honestly, it was so worth the wait. I am so excited to have the expansion pack in my game. It is so worth it. I know it is kind of expensive, and in some regards it's not worth it, but if you are a person like me who does a lot of family gameplay, the extra interactions, the additional like play options, especially for those infants, the additional things make it absolutely worth it. So with that being said, I kind of want to just jump into describing the build. So I am so proud of how this house ended up turning out. It took me a couple of days to build, won't even lie, and I was sitting down in large increments of time building this house, but I am so proud of how it turned out because I've never built a house quite this large, and I don't think in any Sims game, 3 or 4, and obviously building in Sims 4 is so much easier than building in The Sims 3. So would I realistically try this in The Sims 3? Absolutely not, because once you mess up in The Sims 3, like if you mess up foundation, if you mess up something like that, you have no choice but to start all over again, and I have no patience for that. So yeah, I'd probably only ever attempt to build a house this big and this detailed in The Sims 4 because it's a lot easier to fix than in The Sims 3, but we're not talking about Sims 3. This is about Sims 4. So this house was originally going to be a blue suburban. I took a lot of inspiration from Lil Simsy and Simlessy with this build style. Originally, I was just going to do like Little Simsy's idea of a blue suburban, but I realized that honestly, in my personal gameplay, I pretty much do that almost every time I build. Like if I build something personal for myself or for like a personal save file or whatever, I always decide to do just a basic Sims 4 blue suburban, and so I wanted to do something different. Plus I really wanted to incorporate the new like paneling and things that came with Growing Together, because unfortunately Growing Together did not come with any inside painting or like wall covers. It only came with outdoor, like exposed brick, siding, things like that, more like industrial type wallpapers, like not really anything you can use on the inside of your house unless you are an incredibly talented builder and know how to incorporate that, which there are so many people out there who are like that. I know. So somehow there are some people in this community who can make that work, and I don't know how you do it. You guys are actual miracle workers, but me, I was not going to attempt to do that because I'd probably make this house look horrendous. So as you can see, this house is kind of really starting out not how it turns out whatsoever. I actually thought this is what I'm gonna do. It's gonna be a blue suburban theme. This is what I'm sticking with. And my original challenge was just gonna try and use base game and Growing Together. However, I quickly realized that was going to be quite difficult just because of the detail, like the level of detail I want to add to this house. So this house does include a couple other packs, like game packs, stuff packs, expansion packs, things like that. But if you guys really want me to, I will definitely build a house that is all base game and Growing Together. I feel like that would be a good idea or like theme to do for like a slightly smaller family home, like maybe like two single or like two parents and their first baby, or maybe it's just a small family, something like that. So anyways, this house is going to be very different in a little bit of time, and obviously this is quite a long video, so a lot of changes will be getting made. But one thing I will say is that I did place this house on a relatively small lot because I intended it to be the size that it is now. Like I wanted it to be bigger. Like basically the way it turned out is the shape that I wanted, but I didn't expect it to be as big as it turned out to be. And I'm not upset about it. I am actually quite proud of how large the house is. I love it. However, because of that, I didn't accommodate for the extra space. So unfortunately, this yard is very, very small. It's basically like you have 2 side yards, but and always you can move it onto a bigger lot and add a pool, because that was something that I really thought would have been fitting for this house, like a pool or something to be in this house, especially with so many Sims, but I just didn't. So obviously, feel free to do whatever you want to make it suit your gameplay. I am a firm believer that when you download my houses, if it's for your game, of course, edit it however you would like for your playstyle. So yeah, I was pretty solid on this blue suburban idea. You can see me laying down some terrain paint. You can see me starting to lay down the foundations of some type of foliage and like landscaping. And you can just see that I'm kind of starting those steps towards finishing the outside of the house. And I then realized when I came back into my game the next day that I did not like how the house looked. It was too small. I wanted it to be bigger, and it wasn't the exact shape that I wanted, and so I decided to just kind of go back in and add a little bit of editing. I did not start all the way over. I just added another little bump out on the opposite side, and I was also kind of bored of the blue color because, like I said, I use blue almost all the time. Like, I am so uncreative when it comes to color schemes, and my go-tos are like browns, blacks, tans, whites, and then like pastel blues and greens, because they go with like blue and yellow go together, blue and orange go together, and that's usually my basic combo for a living room. Or tan and brown, like that. Those are my color combos off the bat, and I wanted to switch it up. So here I am adding that second bump out, adding some of the more of those columns to kind of differentiate the house, and additional windows and things like that. I was having a bit of a struggle with these windows just because they obviously come in ones and then they come in twos, and I felt like I really wanted to use the big bay window that is down at the bottom, and I'm very happy with how it looks, but I really wanted to incorporate that, like the 3 pane windowed style, into the upper parts of the house, just because 2 windows felt too small, but 4 windows felt like too much, just because 4 windows is in the middle of the house, and that's supposed to be like the eye-catching part. So I don't know, it was a bit of a struggle, but we ended up getting it situated. And then I did go ahead and add on like a little garage area, just because that was kind of in the floor plan that I was following, was a garage, and in my head I didn't know what I was going to do with this space yet, but eventually that will be like an actual garage / laundry room. But yeah, as of right now, it's just a big empty space, because normally when I'm building, I focus on one thing at a time, otherwise my brain will explode. So like right now, I'm focusing on the outside because I want the outside to look good, and then once I figure out the outside and I'm happy with it, then we move on to the inside problems. So in my mind, problems that we see now are for a later person, aka it's for like the next day version of me. She can deal with it. This day version of me doesn't want to look at it. So right now I am adding on the back porch, and that was another thing that I am kind of not upset about, but I wish I could have obviously put it on a bigger lot, so that way I could have had a bigger back patio. It felt like a little bit of an oddly shaped back patio, but I was also kind of imagining this house being in, it's built for San Sequoia, by the way. We are building in the New World San Sequoia, but I was imagining that this house was kind of nestled into, it's probably like the biggest house on the block, and it's maybe nestled into like a cul-de-sac or on like an end cap, so they don't have a lot of room for a big yard. Like, that's in my head. If this was real life, that's what I'm imagining this house is like situated. But since this is obviously not real life and lots are pretty much anywhere, it's kind of hard to embody that in the actual game, but it is okay. I made it work, and I'm proud of how it turned out. And obviously there is always room to improve, and that's what I really want to focus on with this build, is trying different building techniques and just putting as much effort into this house as possible. Because what happens is I'll get super frustrated, and then I'll just be like, you know what, I'm done. It's whatever. If it turns out crappy, it turns out crappy. And I really didn't want to do that for this house. I really wanted to put in as much effort as possible, make it look as beautiful as possible, and I'm quite proud of how it ended up turning out. Definitely, like, this is probably one of the best houses I've ever built thus far. And so yeah, I was actually watching a speed build video by Simlessy while I was building this house at one point as well. I was actually watching multiple of her videos, but it was the giant family home that she built for or not the giant, but it was like the mid-sized family home that she built for San Sequoia for Growing Together. And then I was also watching her like beginner family home speed build for Growing Together as well, just because I had been trying to stay away from Growing Together content before I could finish making mine. So I just finally wanted to catch up on my favorite builders and watch them build houses, because Simlessy, Jessica Pye, Little Simsy, Plumbella, like these creators are such incredible builders, and there's so many other builders that like I can't even think of off the top of my head that are incredible builders. It is insane to me the amount of things that people can do in this game to make these houses look incredible. Like the split leveling, before we even had split levels, it was insane how people could do it and make it functional. Like sizing down certain objects to make them look like another. Like it's absolutely insane, and these people are incredibly talented. And my mind is just so boggled every time, because I'm like, how in the world does your brain wrap around that? Like, it's so insane to me. Like, these people should be like architects in real life. Like, it's just, because to me, it makes no sense. But to them, they're like, oh, absolutely. I can do this and I can do that. It's just so impressive. So I wanted to put in as much effort with this house as possible. I'm sorry. And I'm really proud of how it ended up turning out. So as you can see, we finished adding like the foliage and landscaping on the front of the house, and then we kind of started the backyard and how I want it to look. It's nowhere near done right now. I do end up adding like some planter boxes and stuff like that. I was originally trying to add a hot tub, but it looked so odd jutting out of the side of the house like that, and so I just ended up getting rid of it. But I'm quite proud of how the outside of that house looked, and at this point I still haven't decided to take away that blue color. It takes me, maybe in the next couple clips I might change it, but yeah, we're working on starting to change it right now, because I was trying to pick like a roof shingle and nothing was looking good with that shade of blue. And so I went into the Growing Together pack to see what color shingles they had, and they had this green color, and I fell in love with it. And then I actually didn't know that Simlessy used this same green color in one of the speed builds that I was watching until after. So I took inspiration and also used like those shingles on the roof to kind of separate the color. But she gave me the idea to put a porch inside of the roof to add, I forget what it's called, but to add like a crown molding around the edge of the roof. Looks so pretty. And you can see me like dotting around some dirt underneath the fencing and the houses. And yeah, like I tried my best to incorporate new building elements and also stay true to kind of my actual building style. But of course, like I said, I want to work on improving, and I'm so proud of how this house did end up turning out. It does suit 8 Sims. It has a master bedroom for 2 parents, whether that's dad, mom, dad, doesn't matter. There is a like quote unquote teenage girls room, and it's more like high school years kawaii vibe. Like, I don't know, I saw the bed and it had a kawaii character on it, and I was like, I never used this bed in this swatch, and I really liked it. So I decided to use it and kind of play off of the whole like, this girl may like kawaii, or like, and it obviously doesn't have to be a girl, it could be anyone. They, them, she, her, he, him, does not matter. So my idea was to kind of play off the kawaii theme. So there are a lot of crystals in there. There's a lot of stuff from werewolves. Like I used the mirror. There's a lot of stuff from high school years, like the dresser and the bedside tables, things like that. It's pretty much like a quote unquote 2000s like a teenage girl's room, to be quite honest with you, but I still loved how it turned out. You could also change that and make that into like a grandparent's room, which I'm kind of wishing that I did now, thinking back, but you know, you can always change that in your own gameplay. You also got a room with for kind of suited for twin boys. In my head I was thinking they were kids, but they could obviously always be teens as well. You also have a room for a toddler, and then I made a nursery. So there is a bassinet for a newborn, and there is a crib for an infant in that room. So this house does suit 8 Sims, most of them being kids or children, but like I said, you can always change that and make that room for the grandparents, or you know, aunt and uncle, like whatever your heart desires. So yes, this house is quite large. It does suit 8 Sims. I believe it is a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, if I'm not mistaken. And and all the bathrooms are upstairs. That was not intentional. I wanted to add a third bathroom downstairs, and then when I was like building the floor plan upstairs, I realized it was almost impossible to do that. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. Oh well. And that's maybe why a lot of my houses don't end up with bathrooms downstairs, is because I usually do the floor plan like, what tends to happen is I like to actually find floor plans online because I am not creative when it comes to building houses and figuring out how I want them to look on the outside, making floor plans. Like, I'm really bad at that. So I end up usually following a floor plan offline, and I followed a floor plan offline for the shape of this house, like the outside shape, but the porch, the back porch, the front porch, like all of the detailing, like all of that was me. And then I followed the floor plan for downstairs, but what tends to happen is it's really hard to translate an in-person, like actual floor plan for human beings into Sims 4 with routing and all of those things. So it makes it difficult. So I basically had to come up with a upstairs floor plan from scratch. And that made me nervous because I'm horrible at making floor plans, but it ended up turning out quite well, and it's fantastically functional. Love the alliteration. It works out quite well. It still gives you a lot of hallway space, but not too much, because I was in the midst of building it and I was like, wow, this just looks like a long hallway with so much room. It looked so bad. So you can see me kind of struggle with it for a little bit of time, but I do finally kind of get it together and get happy with how it's situated. But yeah, so you have a bathroom right by that teenage girl's room. You have a bathroom in between like the twin boys' room and the toddler room, and then you have the master bathroom in the parents' room. You also you are going to have, like I said, that garage is going to be turned into like a laundry room type area. And then we have like a living room, kitchen, dining room, things like that. So here I am kind of touching up the backyard, adding in additional windows, because another thing that I constantly forget is to add other windows around the other parts of the house. I was trying to incorporate using these really big windows, but they were super modern and I felt like it looked out of place in this house. So I did end up just going back to using that traditional 3-pane window with like the large amount of crown molding on the bottom, because I'm absolutely in love with that window. But yeah, so here I am focusing on the more front of the house once again, focusing on the porch and just adding detail there. I actually really love the pillars that came with Growing Together. I'm obsessed with them. I've seen them on a lot of newer houses, like in person in my area, and I adore how they look. I love the stone on the bottom and then like the 4 posters on top. And then the color contrast, like I loved the way these pillars looked so much. Like I thought that, like, I love them. Like I have no words. I truly did not think that I would love a concrete pillar so much, but I do. Like it just looks so like classically traditional, if that makes sense. Like I don't even know how to describe it other than that. Like this pack came with pretty much a mixture of things. Like it came with pretty traditional things like the pillars, the fencing, the crown molding like that I have around the porch, the gates. Like a lot of those are definitely more traditional, but then windows and doors came with some quite modern doors, some quite modern windows. So this pack was definitely like, it was not a one size fits all. It is definitely incorporating a lot of different themes and aspects, which I wouldn't expect a lot of modern stuff to come with a, how you say, family-orientated pack, but I'm going to try my hardest to incorporate them more into my gameplay, because like I said, I am so tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again. I always do the same thing, and so it is my goal this year. It is my goal to make my building style be able to differ, because I am horrible at change. I am, like, once I get situated with something, especially something I'm not good at, once I become familiar with how it works and I'm happy with how it works, I don't really want to change it, because then I'm like, wow, okay, it doesn't look that bad. But then I get bored because I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's a constant cycle for me. But anyways, here I am struggling with this chimney. I was having a bit of an issue with this chimney purely because of some of the chimney heads that I was trying to pick from. it was causing, some of them were like sizing up too big, and some of them were sizing down too small, some of them were too modern, and I was just not having it. So I ended up having to use the tool mod to size it down, and I did end up changing the color or the wallpaper from that stone that it is back to the green shingles. I'm almost 100% sure I do, just because it did just because it didn't look right. It looked too like obvious. I don't know how to describe it. It just looked too different for me. So I did. I'm pretty sure I do end up changing that back at some point. I don't know when, but I do. And I do get this chimney to finally cooperate with me and fit and look how I want it to. So I was happy about that. And then I'm pretty sure once that's done, we will actually finally start moving on to the inside. You saw earlier that I kind of mapped out the floor plan, but I ended up not, like, I kept the floor plan, but I didn't end up sticking to it exactly like how it was in the blueprint that I was following on my phone. So where the dining room ends up being is where the living room was originally supposed to be, which is why you saw me trying to fit the chimney a little bit further back against the house, but it looked so odd to me. So I was like, you know what, forget it. They can have a fake chimney and a real fireplace, and it doesn't even matter because I want my house to look good from the outside. So, because I'm pretty sure that this chimney lands like right behind the stairs, so it wasn't going to work with trying to actually put the chimney behind the fireplace, and I was like, it's fine, it's whatever. So here I am doing some more touch-ups to the backyard. I was looking at other back doors to see if they would fit a little bit better. But yeah, so we will be migrating inside the house in a little bit of time, but I ended up, like I said, changing and swapping up how the downstairs floor plan ended up looking. So where the future dining room ends up being was originally supposed to be that living room, and outside of the fireplace situation, the couches were just not gonna fit. Like, I wanted to have like a decently large living room with like not only like couches and decorations and things like that, but I really wanted to have like bookcases, and I wanted to have like those new like interactable objects for kids. Like, I wanted the living room to seem lived in. Like, I wanted it to seem like there were a lot of kids living in this house and they were constantly doing things. And obviously when you have a lot of kids and you live in a big house, keeping your house clean at all times is an almost impossible task. This is like coming from someone who grew up babysitting every single child on both sides of my family, because I am the oldest and the only girl. I was babysitting kids who were boys and almost always maybe 5+ years younger than me. So I am very aware of how difficult it is to keep a house clean. So that was kind of the vibe that I wanted to go for, and the area that the living room was supposed to be in was just too small. It wasn't going to fit, and I did not want to kind of cramp it up. And I also really wanted to use this huge 3-tile arch. I love it, but it is so big. Like, it would be so hard to incorporate that in any smaller of a house without making it take up too much space, because you also have to think about routing, which was the issue that I was facing, was that I wanted to put the living room there, but like I said, not only because of how it was built was it going to be like a weird fit, but because of that archway, I didn't want to cause any routing issues or anything like that. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to migrate the like living room more to the front of the house, which I actually ended up liking so much more because it's right by the walkway, it's right by the big 3-paned window. Like, it just made, like, in the front of the house, it just made sense for the living room to be there. So I actually ended up really, really enjoying how it came out. So here we are, finally have migrated into the house. We are working on the entryway right now. As you can see, I added like the umbrella stand from Seasons. I added the thermostat from Seasons, and you're going to be seeing me use these new photo frames a lot. They came with Growing Together, and you can actually insert photos that you take in your real game of your families into those photo frames. So rather than actually adding a lot of like artwork, I decided to add a lot of those around, because in my head, like I said, I'm imagining a very large family lives here, like possible multiple generations, like a set of grandparents, then like one of their kids, and they got married, and now they have a crap ton of kids. So I'm imagining that this house is always very busy, very lively, and just has a lot of love in this house. So obviously there's going to be pictures of vacations and graduations and parties and things like that. So yeah, I wanted to embody that, so I did end up adding a lot of those picture frames. I also, as you can see me here, added in those new bookshelves that came with growing together. So the bookshelves that I was originally going to put in were the ones that had the little square pop out of them, which I'm pretty sure it's children can use it to with something called like imagination. I'm not sure how it works. Like I haven't had a chance to go in and play it, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of these can be found in the rec center if I'm not mistaken, like these bookshelves and the ones that have the cutouts. And I'm pretty sure kids can like imagine or like play in them somehow. Like I'm not, again, like I said, I'm not sure how it works yet. I haven't had a chance to actually play, but they can actually like interact with it. But I did not know, like it just looked too weird. Like it actually looked like it belonged in like a rec center or like a library. It was just too much. And I was like, you know what, we'll just add the original bookshelves. They looked better, and it kind of reminded me of a mini infotainment system, if that makes sense. Like back in them olden days when you had to have like a giant like wooden center that had like either bookshelves or just any type of shelf around the cutout where you'd put the TV. This is the vibe that I was getting, but it's obviously not a real infotainment system. But I just put bookshelves beside this fireplace, but I really ended up liking how it turned out. I did try to incorporate the new. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I tried to incorporate as much of the new furniture as possible. At first, I was not a fan of this couch, but in certain swatches, I actually quite like it. It's a little bit more like old fashioned than what I would normally pick. It definitely gives me like 80s, 90s vibes with this couch, but I was like, you know what? It came with the pack. I want to find a way to incorporate it. So I did that, and you will definitely see me be incorporating a lot of those rocking chairs and those just single chairs like the one I have in the entryway. Like you will see me incorporate a lot of those because we have a lot of empty space and I was trying to use it up. So yeah, that was another struggle. But anyways, here we are moving on to the kitchen. I did end up using the Parenthood counters because I felt like it just matched the vibe that I was going for. And also, I am obsessed with the new fridge and stove. They are stunning. Absolutely beautiful. I love them. I know some people on Twitter were saying they did not like it. And I'm like, how? Like, they're stunning. I will say when I first saw the fridge, I was like, I like it, but I don't know. Something just felt off about it. But I still, ooh, I am so sorry. I just hit my mic. I was still like, wow, I love it. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not off-putting, but it is unique. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a fridge like that before, but I quite liked it. It was giving country, it was giving country living vibes, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I can't even describe it. I really ended up liking how it turned out. So here you saw me struggling to pick out a wallpaper, and you're also going to watch me struggle for a while to pick out a tile. And then, yeah, we're just kind of finally getting situated into the actual meat of this video, which I'm happy about because the exterior was a whole journey. It was a journey, man. Like, my goodness, it was a journey. But yeah, so I really wanted to go for a very colorful theme throughout this house, and you will definitely be able to tell that. But I got the vibe that, like I said, this is a very big, lovable family. Multiple generations live here, and like looking back, I get like maybe it's a situation of like the house has been slowly upgraded over time. So maybe like the grandparents originally bought this house when it was a lot smaller, like maybe when it was before it was extended out, kind of like how I had it originally with the blue Suburban. It was a little bit smaller, and then maybe as their kids got older and they had a relationship and they had kids, they bought the house from their parents, they extended it, expanded the house, and then kind of made some additions. So maybe that's why the kitchen looks a little bit older, has a little bit older of cabinets and like stoveware and appliances, just because a little bit more updated, but at the same time, it was once a lot smaller and older of a house. So that's kind of the idea that I was going for in my head. And I also tried to make this kitchen look as used and busy as possible. I definitely wanted to make it look like there were 8 Sims living here because, like I said, we all know that if you have multiple people living in a household, this house will never be clean. And not just the living room, but almost all parts. There will always be dishes in the sink. The dishwasher will always be running. There will always be food missing from the fridge. You will always be out of toilet paper or paper towels. Someone is always eating somebody else's snacks. Like, that's the vibe that I wanted to get. Like, kids are always coming in from school and sitting in the kitchen and doing their homework. Like, that's kind of the vibe that I really wanted to go for, which is why you see that new object. It's some type of craft thing for kids on the like very far counter. I got the idea that maybe that's a project that they have to do for school, and so they're coming home to do it on the kitchen counter. I had the bread box. I chose the painted one because I felt like it looked like maybe kids did this in art class. I did add a dishwasher because when you have that many Sims, trying to sit there and have them wash dishes back to back is basically not an option. One thing I do regret is that I did not have the opportunity to incorporate the new piano. I honestly didn't think much about it until the house was almost completely decorated, and then I was like, dang it, I want to incorporate the piano. And then by the time I went down to see how I could, I was like, no, I really liked how the entryway looked. I didn't want to like change it. So unfortunately, the new piano is not in this build, but obviously, like I said, whenever you get your hands on it, you are more than welcome to change it however you'd like. And I will hopefully be able to incorporate it in another build. So here we are, finally moving on to the dining room. This room was actually quite the challenge. This was probably one of the most challenging rooms that I had to decorate because of the size. So I was scrolling through tables and I did not know that this pack came with a circular table. And I never, ever, ever use round tables in The Sims 4 for my dining room tables. I always use like rectangular tables or square tables. And so I really wanted to use a round table, but I didn't realize until after I placed it that it still left such a huge chunk of space. And so I was like, wow, this is kind of gonna look weird in this area. So I tried to add a bar, and for the long, like, it was not placing right. And then when I finally kind of got it to look decent, I just wasn't happy with it. So I do end up changing this. I end up adding a hutch and a little like area that has some high chairs. So it kind of looks like the parents just said, you know what, we're going to be having kids every couple years, so they just placed down like 2 high chairs, placed a little mat under it so they don't constantly have to be cleaning the floor, and then that's kind of where their toddlers and their babies eat. But yeah, I do end up deleting that mini bar, and I don't feel like it's like super fitting for this kind of space either. Like, who needs a mini bar when you have this many kids? Like, realistically, especially if you have teenagers in your house, no one is really going to have that much of an open access to a bar. So I'm kind of glad I did get rid of it, but I was very hesitant to, because another thing I don't do is ever incorporate bars into my houses. So I was quite averted to actually delete it, but I'm very glad I did, because I ended up liking how it turned out better, not only because of the spacing thing, but because I was having an issue kind of filling in the space on the walls, like decorating. Like, I didn't want it to look too busy, but at the same time it didn't look busy enough. And so yeah, like I said, this room was a struggle. It gave me a time. Wow, did this room give me a time. I will say, oh, excuse me, I will warn you that I did see, I was trying to incorporate the piano, but it was just not working. So I did end up adding a pet bed and like a dog bowl and some toys later on. But I actually, unfortunately, didn't end up getting that on video. I came back into my game, I think like the day after I finished building this, to take some screenshots for you guys, and then I realized that there were a couple spaces that were just still kind of empty. So I filled in some places in the hallway upstairs. I filled in like some area, like that area downstairs by the stairs. I added a little pet bed and things like that. Like, I just kind of wanted to go in and fill in those spaces. And I did also run out of space on the hard drive that I was filming on at the time. So you're going to see a cut, like a giant cut from me editing the twin boys room to me halfway through editing the toddlers room, because I didn't realize that my hard drive was full and that OBS wasn't filming. But luckily enough, I caught it so I could finish the rest of the build. But still, that was a little bit frustrating when I saw that, and I was actually petrified that it had not recorded a larger chunk of what it didn't. Like, I can live with the fact that it didn't record like half of 2 rooms. I was worried that it hadn't gotten anything, like the because I had done the master bedroom first, so I was terrified that it hadn't gotten the master bedroom, the master bathroom. I ended up doing a separate master closet, the teen bedroom, I was terrified, but thankfully none of that was missed. You guys will definitely see that. So I'm finally starting to migrate upstairs, thankfully, because I feel like I am also kind of running out of energy and like Ooh, I'm gonna take a sip of water really quick because I've been talking for 35 minutes and normally I have no issue talking. But I feel like when I have to kind of improv, I get so out of breath and like my throat gets so dry and my sinuses start bothering me. And I always feel so bad because every time I listen back, I'm like, wow, I must sound like so nasally to everybody. And I'm like, I promise in real life, I'm not like this. I don't know why. Whenever I talk on a normal basis, I can't seem to shut up. But whenever I need to talk for a speed build, everything kind of wants to go haywire on me. So I don't know. That's a mystery for the ages right there. So as you can see, I am starting the what is going to soon be the parents' bedroom. And I was trying to find a theme that I wanted to go for in this room that I liked, but that I hadn't done before. Because, like I said, blues, like light blues, light greens, and then neutrals are my go to. And surprise, surprise, that's what I end up going for in this master bathroom bedroom. You know, I tried. I tried to do something different, and it still looks good. I still love how it looks. It's just kind of a theme that I go for almost all the freaking time. So please forgive me for that. But one thing I do want to mention before I forget is that if you go onto my gallery, this is already uploaded there. But if you forget that, or like if you go to my gallery and the house isn't there, please click on custom content. I think the reason why it marked as custom content is because I was using the OMSP shelf. I have now taken it out of my game just because it wasn't like, it was working fine, but I don't want anything in my game that I upload on my gallery to register as custom content because I want you guys to be able to enjoy it. So the only thing I used it for was for the hutch downstairs. There was a bunch of open spaces, but they didn't have slots in them. So I was using the OMSP shelf to add them there. But I think next time I will just use the tool mod and just try and raise them up. It was a little difficult because those objects were being a little finicky, but I think next time I will try and figure out an alternative way to do that because it just wasn't it really wasn't. And also I don't like having things on my origin saying that there's custom content in it when there's not, because it's unfortunate for people who like don't watch my channel but may want to download my house. If they see it on the gallery and it says custom content, I don't want them to worry. And I'm pretty sure I put it in the description of the build on my gallery as well, that that was the like issue, or that was the thing. So there is a warning there that it's just OMSP, and I'm not sure if OMSP works like Tool, where even if I don't have it in my game, if it will like remove the objects that it's on. I'm pretty sure it won't, but I'm not going to claim that that will happen 100%. So if that does happen, the only things that will disappear will be like some of the objects on the hutch downstairs in the dining room that I end up replacing the bar with. There were like 2 or 3 slots at the very top of the like shelf that didn't have a slot, and that's where I used the shelf. Those objects will either just disappear, or they just like, they'll still be there. I'm not sure which one will work. Like, I'm not sure which one it will be, but it will be one of the two. So here you can see me kind of starting to get to the final stages of the master bedroom. I am doing a custom closet because the space was like, we had the space for it, so I figured why not. Like, I was originally going to make that entire area a bathroom, but it felt like too rectangular, like way too long, unnecessary, because I planned on using the new shower tub combo that came with growing together. So there was no point in having a bathroom that long. So I just decided to swap it and make that, like make the bathroom, I'm pretty sure it's a 6x3, and then make the closet just a 2x2. So you have a dresser and a walk-in closet, and it's very, very cute. Don't judge me. I love the way it looks. I think it looks cute. It's fine, okay? I think it looks super bougie. Anyways, we are actually starting to wrap up the parents' bedroom, which is like kind of exciting because I'm not even gonna lie, it was taking me forever to do this bedroom because I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like, I kept swapping up the idea. Like, you can see when we first started out, I was originally going to do like a green, and then I kind of swapped it to blue, and I was having a hard time picking wood tones for this room. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to use like the super light wood and the white color to match like the bed frame, or if I wanted to use all white, but then it felt like too much white. I was just over here struggling, y'all. Like, I was really over here struggling like that. I can be a pretty big perfectionist sometimes, which can be kind of annoying, but I just want things to look good. So I was actually kind of having the same issue with decorating the walls in this room as well because of how long they were. I didn't want them to look overcrowded, but I didn't want them to look undercrowded either. So I was struggling doing that, and also trying to not continuously doubling up on objects. Like, they have a wall mirror, or like they have a floor mirror, so I didn't want to add another wall mirror, especially because they have a mirror inside of the closet, I'm pretty sure, and a mirror inside of the bathroom. Like, I did that. That's just too many mirrors. Who needs that many? Nobody. So I was trying to find other ways to decorate, and I do finally end up incorporating that little like plant wall thing from Dream Home Decorator, I'm pretty sure. And then yeah, that was the pretty much it for the master bedroom. So now we're moving downstairs to the garage. I did end up kind of forgetting about the fact that I had the garage down there, and when I did, I realized that I didn't have a way for my Sims to enter. So I tried to kind of find a way to incorporate it through the kitchen, but because of the way I had set up the counters, there was really no way for me to do that, and I didn't want to edit how I had already kind of built the foundation of the house and how I had the shell. Like, I was really happy with it. So I was like, you know what, we'll just put the door right beside the grill. It may look a little bit odd, but at that point I was like, you know what, it's fine, it's whatever. So here you can see me picking out the wall and floor that I'm going to be using for this room, and this is going to be our laundry room. So when I decided to kind of fill this space in with a laundry room, I really wanted it to be like one of those really large laundry rooms, and so my idea is that it's a laundry room slash entryway. So you're going to see me using a lot of stuff from Laundry Day in this room. I did use the Parenthood counters again. I pretty much used the Parenthood counters almost everywhere except in the bathrooms. I used the matching like sink that came with Growing Together that matches the shower. But my idea for this kind of garage laundry room area was to kind of have the idea of, like, you know how someone, like, you get home and you drive up into your driveway and then you get into your garage and then you close the garage and then you get out of the car and you have like a little mud area where you can hang your backpack, your scarves, your coats, you keep your shoes on there, and then you can go into the house from there, so that way your shoes aren't like, because that's how my aunt is. Like, we don't like putting our shoes, like taking our shoes upstairs or anything, so we like keeping our shoes by the front door. That's how I grew up, and so that was kind of the vibe that I wanted to go for here. But I still wanted to keep it kind of realistic, so I kept the floor a little bit more more concrete rather than like a finished wood. I was trying to figure out what hutch I wanted to add, and that one, the one from Jungle, is it Jungle Adventure? There we go. That one wasn't fitting, and so I was trying to use the one from My First Pet Stuff, and that one was too small. The one from Jungle Adventure was too big, and I really wanted to use this one from Laundry Day, but it was just too small for the area, and so I did end up using the like more squared off larger one from Laundry Day. It wasn't exactly the same vibe as this one. It didn't have like the coat and stuff hanging, but it acted as the same thing and it filled in the space better, so that's what we ended up going with. I did just pop back into the kitchen there really quick and add in the espresso machine from Parenthood, and then we are going to kind of start decorating the walls in the laundry room. I had no idea what I wanted to go for, and I had no idea how I wanted to fill in the space that was beside the truck, because it's a lot of wall space and I didn't know kind of how I wanted to incorporate it. So this was another room that I kind of did struggle on for that little, oh yeah, I forgot. I did add a wreath to the front door. I love doing that. It's so cute to me, like one of those springtime wreaths. But yeah, I was having a bit of a hard time trying to figure out how to incorporate that in the garage. But here we are popping back into the dining room, and this is when I realized that maybe that bar wasn't the best choice, and this is when we ended up adding in that Laundry Day like cabinet shelf hutch thing. And I was scrolling through to find like things to add in as detail. And like I said, there's a lot of those like shelves that don't have slots on there that I used OMSP for. So it may pop up as custom content, but I promise there's no like custom content other than that in this house. And I know that T-Mex does not show up in the gallery as like being taken or as having custom content inside of it, so I'm pretty sure it's the OMSP shelf. I'm not sure if it'll delete all the objects that are resting on the shelf, We can cross our fingers and hope not, because I really like how I like kind of decorated it. But if it does, oh well. So yeah, I really wanted to make it look more full and, like I said, more lived in. And I was really happy with how this ended up turning out. Filled in the space better. It did not look as open, and yeah, I was just quite happy with this. So here I am, kind of going back in and like adding this basket of blankets. God, that was a tongue twister. I'm also going in and like changing the color of that lamp, adding some more details around the house, adding some laundry bins, adding like more wall paintings and more of those picture frames. I was going in and adding like trying to figure out if I wanted railing, and also trying to decorate the hallway area and kind of go back to decorating upstairs, because I kind of forgot that that's what I was doing. And if you guys hadn't noticed, this was like a different day. I had kind of went away, saved, and then came back the next day to continue. Just because I can only build for so long before I get brutally exhausted at looking at my computer screen. So this was also the week of finals. So I was definitely having a time, but I wanted to get this out, like filmed, so I could have it out by this week. So it was definitely worth it though, because I was having a lot of fun. And whenever I build, I love to have like a podcast or a video or something like that going in the background. It makes it so much fun for me, just because I basically just get a lot of alone time, a lot of free time. I get to, just kind of relax and just do my thing. So yeah, I'm super, super happy with a lot of how this house and just how everything ended up turning out. This is that teenage bedroom that I said I went for like a more kawaii high school years vibe, that you could also change and turn into like a grandparent's room. I did end up adding some banners, or sorry, not banners. I ended up adding starlights, like twinkle lights above the bed, mainly because I've never done that in The Sims 4. I've done it in The Sims 3. It's a really cute idea, but in The Sims 4, it's a lot easier to do, to be quite honest, because of like since the update a couple years ago, where you could like now basically move stuff freely, like windows and doors and stuff against walls. It makes moving things like string lights a whole lot easier. So I did end up adding string lights, and I picked the ones that had the photo Polaroids on them. And then, like I said, I used a lot of things from Werewolves, like that mirror that you see, and also that little like crystal thing on the bedside table, like the mushrooms inside of like that diamond shaped thing. That is from Werewolves. I also added the fashion board from, I'm pretty sure that's High School Years as well, for like trendy. I did also add, I believe that's the friendship bracelet kit that came with Growing Together on the bedside table as well. So that is incorporated in there. There's a cute little alarm clock, and I found that clutter item on the floor, and I was like, wow, that is literally perfect. It's like a shirt, it's a bag, and like the idea was that you just came in from school, you threw your sweater off, and you threw your bag on the floor, and everything that was in it got tossed onto the ground, and you said, I don't care. So I loved it. I was also having a lot of fun with these posters. I very rarely use posters, but a lot of them have some really, really cute swatches. Like I loved the Polaroids with the hearts on them. It felt very fitting. Like, I don't know, my idea was that the girl who lives in that room, or like whose room that is, it may be a cheerleader or something at school, and that like she's just that very typical girl next door type vibe. Like she loves her friends, she's like decently popular, she loves to cheer, but like she's not a jerk. Like I imagined her just be that girl, just like that TikTok girl. But yeah, so anyways, here we are on the second bathroom in the house. It's the one, like I said, right beside the teen's bedroom, and this one's a little bit more neutral. I did try and go for a different metal vibe in each bathroom. So in the parents' bedroom, I went for like a light gold. In this bathroom, I went for black hardware. And then I'm pretty sure in the third bathroom that I end up doing, I'm pretty sure I went for either like a dark gold or bronze, if I'm remembering correctly. I did try to go for a different like metal vibe in each, or like a different metal tone in each bathroom, just because I wanted them to look cohesive, since they're using the same toilet, sink, and shower, but I also wanted them to look slightly different, just to show off the different swatches and things like that. And like I said, this house is supposed to be really, really colorful and busy and just kind of all over the place. So I'm quite happy with that. So here I am kind of starting that next bathroom and the decoration in the hallway. Now I was The one thing that I was not happy about with this pack were the random chairs that it came with. So I really liked the rocking chair and I really liked the armchair that came with this pack, but the like chairs that you're supposed to use in the rec center, like this squared off chair, the circular chair, the very weird giant rectangular like highlighter blue and white chair, such an odd choice to me. Like, even if it's for a recreation center, that's such an odd choice to me. Like, that's so weird. And I have no idea how someone would ever try to like incorporate that into a build. Like, I don't know. It was a struggle for me, but I wanted to use as many of the new items as possible. So I bit the bullet and made myself use that chair because it was the less ugliest out of all of them. So I was like, you know what? I was trying. It wasn't a struggle not using CC. It was actually a little bit better than I was expecting. The only thing that I was kind of struggling with when it came to this house was wall decorations. I found myself kind of using the same ones over and over and over again because not only do we not have that many, but some of the frame swatches don't match and the art is really freaking expensive. So I don't know. It was not like that was, if that's one thing I could ask for, it would be more, just more paintings and more like not necessarily wall decor. It's mainly just a paintings thing because we actually have quite a bit of wall decor for like bedrooms, bathrooms, hallways. Like, I'm quite happy with those. I just mean we need like some more like single paintings or like things like that that you can fill up a wall with, like the ones that's from pets, like with the cats and dogs that you saw me use by the stairwell. That's one of my favorites because it takes up a lot of space because it will force me to use less stuff, but also still look kind of busy and crowded and the vibe that I was going for. I did add the Boy Scout thing, like the board, into the house, which I'm quite happy about. And yep, there's that jump. Sorry about that. That's the jump that my hard drive wasn't recording. But here's the toddler room, and the boys room is finished. You can see that I did add the rocket ship like imagination like plaything, or like the life-size plaything. And then this is the toddler's room. I did incorporate the new toddler beds. I incorporated the new like moon and cloud light. I have been using these new curtains like crazy in almost every house, like not house, almost every room, as you can see. There's a blarfy in there. There's some cool details from going together like the infant things, so it has like diapers and lotion. I did incorporate the new bookshelf, which, by the way, I didn't know that bookshelf is meant so your toddlers and infants can read from it. It's not meant for your adults to read from it. It's meant for your kids to be able to reach it and read from it. So I love that, but I also don't know why they have it placed so high. So I just scooted it down a little bit, so it made it a little bit more realistic that your kids or your toddlers could reach those books. But yes, so here I am working on the final room, which is the nursery. Like I said, there is a crib for an infant, and there is a crib or a bassinet for a newborn. I do have a default override. I'm pretty sure it's a winged llama's bassinet override. So that's why my bassinet looks like a small white crib. And I went with kind of the vibe that I wanted them to have matching cribs, if that makes sense. So I did end up using the kind of larger, more four-poster typed crib. I wanted to originally use the one that matches the toddler bed. It's the pretty sleek, like all-white modern one. But because I like it so much, I know in my head that in my personal gameplay, that's probably going to be the one that I use all the time. So in this house, I decided to not use it because I already know that in future builds, I will probably be using it a lot. Like that pack and play, I actually have another speed build coming out in a couple days that is of an apartment, like a single parent apartment, and that pack and play is in there because it's meant to be a starter apartment. It's supposed to be cost effective, but still, I'm probably not going to be ending up using that pack and play crib very often, just because it's not for me, but because the other ones look a little bit better. But yeah, so I tried. Here I am decorating the wall of this nursery. I was going to incorporate that board that came with Growing Together, but took up too much space, didn't look right, and so I added in a changing table, and then I do end up making like a little closet area. Like, it's not an actual dresser or an actual closet, but I use the mini dresser from Dream Home Decorator, and then I added one of the like hanging dressers on top of it, and then hung some of the kids' clothes under it to make it look like infant clothing. And yeah, and then filled it up with some of the growing together like infant deco. So I really like how that area ended up looking as well. I did use the rug from Growing Together, and I just tried to add a lot of like decals and stuff on the wall. I wanted it to make it look like this infant was in like preschool or something, but at the same time I also wanted it to make it seem like it was like decorated by their parents at some point as well. Like they tried to make a good looking nursery, and then it just got filled up over time with like daycare stuff. But yeah, so that is pretty much this build wrapped up. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you're having trouble finding this build on my gallery, if you just click the custom content check mark, then it should pop up for you. I'm also quite happy with how the thumbnail turned out for this house. I loved it. I was very happy with how the thumbnail turned out on my gallery. I did not think it would look good, but she said, we didn't come to play today, and she looks really good. So yeah, I'm happy about that. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I definitely enjoyed making it for you. I had so much fun building it, and I'm just so proud of it. Like, I am absolutely in love with this house. I adore it. Like, I want to play in it so bad, but I don't have a family big enough to play in it, so I'm probably going to be using this for my personal legacy in the future. But yeah, I'm done rambling. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye, everyone.